You were telling a story about the police and how they were trying to recruit you or a policeman during this volatile time of segregation and desegregation.
It was in that summer of 1963.
Okay.
I went up to the Marginal Washington when I worked for the Highway Department in D.C. and I was on the survey crew. And besides standing up for the first time for really publicly with adults with civil rights, I was exposed to what the reality of what police brutality is or could be. One day we were surveying on M Street in D.C. and there was always more people than there was enough work. So it was extra time. So we would generally take a couple of hours for lunch. Sometimes we go hide in the bushes. And what we were doing at M Street was very nice. We would work out in the heat. I mean, I was always the guy standing at the thing in the middle of the damn street for several hours. When you take lunch, we went up the truck, and there was a way you could go under the C&O Canal. It's like a tunnel. I mean, a big pipe, but it's all the way under the C&O Canal down to the edge of the Potomac River. I'd never seen it before or since. And drive right down on the edge of the river. And we went down there, basically called it hiding. We would eat lunch and then just hang out for a couple hours. There was enough tree cover in the summer you couldn't see the truck, which was orange, but you couldn't see it from up on M Street. So we were joined by a police sergeant and his ride-along buddy. I guess but he was like a rookie that was learning the ropes. And the police sergeant was bragging about all the stuff that he knew and could do and the authority he had in the police department. And he's decided he would try to recruit myself and this other white boy that worked on the crew who was from Anacostia. And try to explain why we should join the police department, come work for DC Police. Basically, the story was, wouldn't you like to be able to carry a gun and have it stick like this? And if a black guy said anything to you didn't like, you could just beat the hell out of him. And they couldn't do anything about it. And if they tried to do something, you'd lock them up and take them to jail. Wouldn't you like to do that? And I went, no. And the kid with me's going, yeah, well, that'd be cool. That was just, I mean, it was just right out there. Mm-hmm. The funny thing happened that while he was bragging about what he could do to black people, the Riggs Bank at the corner of M Street and Wisconsin Avenue was robbed. And he was supposed to be there. And he was 4 or 5 blocks away, up under the C&O Canal by the river. So he tore up his car, trying to get back up and find where the robbers had long gone from on M Street.
Wonder if he tried to recruit anybody else after that.
I bet he did. But one reason I thought of not speaking up to him was I hung out in Georgetown at night. Georgetown and the DuPont Circle area, in the bars that young people go to. It wasn't real hip then, but it was still a place where you could go. And I said, if that guy was hanging around, I didn't want him looking for me. Mm-hmm. So I just sat quiet and he just talked. Mm-hmm. Because he's a police sergeant, he was powerful, I know people, and I didn't want him to know what I look like or know what my car might look like, or be caught by him up there after dark.
So what do you think are some of the things that became better after the Civil Rights Act? What did you see change? The Public Accommodations Act, I mean, what I could see, I know that people you could ride the bus, you could take an interstate transportation, you could go to a bus station or an airport in any city and not be pushed off onto the side. And I saw now, DC had, I think, long since hidden the signs of, colored and white signs and stuff, but that was gone. And people, sometimes it was a deal, like everybody, men of different colors going to the restroom together, and that was sort of a, women in different colors going to the same restroom. It's sounds stupid now, but people like it was a deal then. You're going to make sure that you could do that, use the same restroom. There were so few restaurants in Virginia, in Northern Virginia, until Liquor by the Drink passed, that it wasn't really noticeable. But that was 5 years later, 68, when Liquor by the Drink passed. Well, that winter, probably the summer of '69, before you started having restaurants where people would, where adults would want to go. They were not sandwich places. Mm-hmm. So, but you could go when pretty immediately, unless if
if I had a group of black and white friends, if we wanted to go, there's a hamburger place like Top Drive and stuff, there's no problem. Go to Hot Shops and we could sit down and now, you know.
And before then you couldn't.
Well, before then there was no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and generally didn't socialize because you couldn't go to the same place. You wouldn't be allowed to come in and sit down. Or if you did, then you were going there for a protest.
Mm-hmm. So how important do you think this project, the Civil Rights Archive project, that's being, that is the brainchild of Congressman Connolly, why do you think it's so important?
I think it's very important that students to come along, you know, students today and in the future are able to look back and see that great change didn't come about in the 50s and 60s just because there were 2 or 3 great leaders. There were those great leaders, but there were hundreds of thousands of regular everyday people that had to make a decision like, no, I'm not going to go over there. I'm going to go sit down over there. My friends and I, we're going to try to go into this place. And often people got hell for it. And most of the people that got the worst hell were black people, but they were every community. There was somebody had to be their first person, like, I'm going to go in the movie theater. Somebody was the first person to go in the movie theater and there on Route 1 in Lynchburg, in Rumsfeld Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or if blacks were only allowed to go in the balcony, there was somebody that said, no, I'm going to sit downstairs.
Or the State Theater in
Or the
Falls
State
Church?
Theater in Falls Church, where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
There had to be somebody to say, no, we're going downstairs. Some individual or group of people. So I think these testimonies help remind people that, gosh, I hate to sound that dramatic about it, but Jefferson said, from time to time the tree of liberty is watered with the blood of patriots and tyrants. On a, maybe even generationally, because people forget. And that some of those terrible things can happen again. But along this is, I remember hearing Dr. King speak about this in '68, prophetically, that there are conditions that will, drive people apart. We have to make sure there are always organizations and individuals keeping people aware that we have to work together. We have to keep people of different ethnicities and religions are not working together so that we're not separated against one another in something like what happened before.
So where do you think we are now racially?
We're a whole lot better than we were 50 years ago, but we're still, as I see in Prince William, we're still fairly separate. We're still fairly divided. There are those places and venues, and thank goodness there are, where people of various backgrounds, get together, various say religions and races and colors, whatnot, get together. But there's still much more common for people that look like this from this background to get together with each other, people that look like that to get together over there. But I think the strength of our public schools is that the children, more and more children have an experience where they're in multi-ethnic environments. There were people of different colors, religions, languages, and there is a general atmosphere that we may not all be the same, but we can all get along. We can be on the same team, we can be in the same school. And that's just critically important, and that's why I'm such a defender of public schools. Because public schools are the incubator of our citizens of the future, and I'm worried about public support for private schools, which tend to be exclusive.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Smith, for spending the time with us this afternoon to give us your collective memories about your youth in dealing with segregation and all the things that you did to help desegregate the society. I want to thank you for all of your courage and your fortitude in really making a difference for equality and in shedding light on all of your experiences, especially about the Civil Rights March. There are things that people would have never known if you hadn't have told us. So on behalf of Congressman Connolly and the Library of Congress, George Mason University, Folk Life Center, and libraries in Fairfax and Prince William County, and myself, Marion Dobbins, I want to thank you for just spending the time with us and giving us all those great memories.
Thank you very much, and if there's anything I can do to steer anybody else your way or help the project, I'll be glad to do it.
Thank you.